Hi everyone, so I'm doing the discussion board for chapter 11 of Everything is an Argument, and then I have some notes right here. So for my 5 questions, for my essay, I guess, I kind of looked at the essay prompt and whatnot and was thinking one thing I struggle with is finding reliable sources, because you never really know what is reliable, first of all, and second of all, it's hard to find reliable sources, and then on top of that, reliable sources that kind of back your claim and your statement. So I decided that, so I'm majoring in speech language pathology, so I have a lot of textbooks and articles and whatnot that I can use for that. So I decided to kind of strive for kind of a question that is based off language and speech disorders. So my 5 questions are, why are language disorders becoming more prevalent among young children? My second question is, why do children from low income or bilingual housings experience higher rates of speech and language delays? My third question is, why is early intervention critical for children with speech language disorders, and what happens when it is delayed? My fourth question is, why are speech and language disorders often misdiagnosed or even overlooked in school settings? And then my fifth and final question is, why is there a lack of diversity in speech language pathology fields, and how does that affect our patients' outcomes? So I kind of wanted to go over my first question and then also my third question. So some kind of brainstorming thoughts I had on this for just based off my knowledge and whatnot, to kind of answer question number one. Question number one again was why are language delays and disorders becoming more prevalent among young children? So some of my brainstorming ideas were that now that speech therapy has been around for a long time, we can better, more often see and recognize signs quicker and at a younger age, because we have studied and known speech language pathology for a lot longer. So that could be one reason why we know that a lot more younger children are needing speech language pathology. Another thing is lack of face-to-face conversations and everything with other kids and other students. So this is partially, largely because of the screens. Children just have so much more screen time now than they have ever had screen time, and that really affects the way people communicate. First of all, their language, because their language development is more delayed because they, look at the TV more often rather than conversating with other children. And then once they get older, even first, second, third, fourth grade is when their communication skills start to decrease, and they don't know how to communicate with others as well, and kind of become more socially awkward kind of thing, because they haven't had that exposure to other people. Another possible reason for this is just population. There's a lot more children nowadays than there has ever been. So that's also a huge part of why there's so many more students needing speech language pathology. And then the last kind of thing I wanted to go over is COVID and all the having to wear masks. First of all, having to be indoors, but wearing masks kind of covered your mouth and your face to be able to see facial expressions and how to communicate socially and through your face, because that takes away a lot of learning, just not being able to see their faces. And then as a speech therapist having to do therapy with children, not being able to see the speech therapist's mouth and where they place their mouth to make certain sounds for that language delay and that language disorder gets really hard to be able to teach and expand and grow as a new talker at 1, 2, 3-year-olds. So those are some reasons that question 1, which is again, why are language delays and disorders becoming more prevalent in young children? For the second one, I did question number 3, and that question was why is early intervention critical for young children with speech language disorders, and what happens when it is delayed? So early intervention is super important for for a handful of reasons, I guess, I kind of was able to come up with. For one, younger brains, they adapt more easily, and so therapy at a young age really impacts them when they're younger a lot more than when they're older. So it's easiest to get them in therapy as soon as possible, because it has more an effect on them when they're younger. And then another reason that I had for that was, once they're starting school, they're starting to learn how to read and how to write. So with these language and mainly language, not as much speech, but with language disorders, students who have language disorders are kind of behind in the reading and writing levels and English classes and whatnot when they're start read and learn and learn math and all this kind of stuff. It kind of starts to delay them when they're delayed in language. So it's important to get them in when they are young, so in early intervention. And then the last thing I said was for missed milestones. The older they get, the more milestones they miss. So even when they're young, right, small milestones, walking, talking, first words, 2 to 3 words when they start to be 2 to 3 years old. And then even when you're older and in 2nd and 3rd grade, when they have like AR reading tests, so you can read a certain amount of words and a certain amount of time. These are all different milestones that they start to miss when their language disorders aren't being treated. So that's it. Thank you.